Now we're going to take a look at random numbers in C++. C++ provides a function that allows us to generate random numbers that we can use within our program. And you see I have a program started here. A couple important features, two more libraries we're going to include. You need the C standard lib here, this one here, to be able to use the actual random number stuff. And we're including this C time because we can use the C time right here. And what this is doing for us, it actually reads your system's clock, which includes the time and the date, and we use that what we call a seed, which I'll explain in a second. Now for the random number, there are the two important pieces are this srand you see here, and then the rand that you see down here. The srand stands for seeding the random number generator, where the rand means just get a random number. So this prepares the random number generator with a starting point basically as to where to start creating random numbers, and then this will go get a random number based on that. Now you probably wonder, okay, if it's random numbers, why do we need to start somewhere, tell it where to start? It's because the random number generator by default gives you the same numbers sequence each time, meaning if I was to take this out and run this program right now, it should output three numbers on the screen, and those numbers every time I run it should be identical. Alright, so here's the first run, and I'm going to leave them up here. You see I got 41, then 18,467, then 6,334. Run it again, and there's one window, and let me get the other window back up here. Alright, there's the two windows, and you see the numbers are identical. And I can run it a third time, you'll see those same three numbers. So it's always starting at the same spot, so it's always giving you the same sequence. Right? It's just the way the random number generator works. So this, since it's based on time, which is always different no matter how many times you run this, right? Milliseconds of difference, right, is enough to change the random order of these numbers. So I'm going to immediately run it twice. Right? There's once. And the first one came up, and we'll run the second one now, and I'll bring both windows over. Alright, I don't know which one was the first one, which is the second one, but oops, sorry about that. Let's get that up there again there. Alright, there's one, and the second window's right there. Alright, so there's the two numbers. Right, the first numbers look similar, but they are different. Right, this is 86 on the end, this is 73, and then the second and the third numbers are very different. Right, if I was to run it one more time, which I will, right, we should get, and we did, a third set of numbers completely different. Right, so this seed has to be done only once, but it has to be done before you start using the generator, right, to guarantee that you're getting different numbers each time it's running. Right. Using the time is a very popular thing because, like I said, it's constantly changing. You'll never have the same time in any instance, right? Because the time is changing, the date's changing, things are always changing, right? It's changing down to the milliseconds. So that's great because it's random numbers. Now the numbers you see, right, are pretty big numbers, and that may or may not be useful. So what we can do is what you see here in the next step, and I'm going to comment these out. And I'm going to put these statements in. Now this is showing you here an equation that can be used to limit the random number between a certain range. So in this case, the range of values this is going to force the numbers to be is between 1 and 100, right, for all 5 of these outputs. So the only numbers we should see outputted are values between 1 and 100. Right, I'm going to go ahead and compile this. Right, so this value here is your starting point, and this is how many of the values you want. Right? So, oops, I need to put new line characters in there. That's not very useful the way it is. Alright, so once I get this in there, alright, we'll see a little better programming. So again, this equation is allowing us to set up a range of values that we want to be between, which is useful for like if you were wanting to simulate the rolling of a dice. Right? You can get a random number that will do that for you. And here comes the output. Alright, there we go. And you see it's all values between 1 and 100. Right? And this is inclusive of the 1 and the 100. I'll run it another time here so you can see that it does give a random sequence again compared to the first one. There you go. Those values are still in between 1 and 100. Alright, there's the two outputs from this program. Alright, no repeated values. Right, 5 values. Got a single digit one in the first run. Okay, that's useful. So like I said, maybe you want to simulate rolling the dice. And all you have to do is change these to sixes. And now you can have a 1 through 6. Alright, so random number, the rand part is still giving you some random number, a very large number, but the modulus is shrinking it down so that it's between certain digits. Right, so the modulus 6 is actually giving you, so this portion here is giving you values between actually 0 and 5. It's reducing it down, so it takes the numbers, manipulates them down to be a random number between 0 and 5. By adding 1 to it, it gives us to the 1 through 6 portion. Right? As you can see on that output, right, we are limited. Right? And now we start getting repeated values because we're limited only between 1 and 6. So the more rands you call, you're going to get more repeated numbers. Right? So again, to set up a range, right, this is your starting point. You want to start at 0, 1, 2, 3, 100, whatever. Right? And then this is how many values. So I can start this at let's say 100. Right. And we'll leave it at 6. So it should give us values between 100 and 106. And there you see we're limited between 100 and 106. Right, so it's inclusive, so 106 could pop up. Right, so this is great for these kind of things, card games, anything that needs some kind of randomness to it. All right. So just remember this simple equation: the starting number, modulus, how many values you want, right, and then the rand in between. All right.